अस्तु अस्तु प्रारम्भं करोतु।
वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय कोटिसूर्यसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि। I forgot more.
सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा।
सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। धन्यवादः महोदय, क्षम्यताम्।
धन्यवादः महोदय। चिन्ता नास्ति, when you are in the spotlight the brain stops working. अहं जानामि। Astu. So before everybody joined, we just were having a very brief conversation about Vayerchana, and so something important about that came up, which is that at this level we are not expecting you to break the words in any form or fashion. So in the homework there was a question about Annapurne Sadapurne Shankara Pranavallabhe Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham Bhiksham Dehi Cha Parvati. So there Annapurne is fine, Sadapurne, that's a combination of two words, but we are not expecting you to know what is Sada, what is Purne and all that. So that is why we gave you the meaning for Sadapurna. So your only job is to figure out, given Sadapurna, what is Sadapurne, what is the Vibhakti form of that. Same way, Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham. Don't worry about what individual words mean and how they combine and all of that. That is why we gave the meaning for the entire word, Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham. So take it and then figure out what is the Vibhakti and then ask the appropriate question. So we'll go step by step. First figure out, first learn to, even a shloka, learn how to identify the Vibhakti and then ask the appropriate question. Once that becomes ingrained, we'll go into sandhis. So for now, we are going to split all the sandhis for you wherever we encounter them, so that you don't have to worry about them. And then after that, once we are comfortable doing all this, then we'll worry about samasas and if there is a big word like Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham, how to go about it. Until then, we'll give the meaning for such complex words. Samyak va?
Mahodaya, when you use kimartam, is it like almost like it has to be Chaturthi Vibhakti? Not necessary, right?
Not always. Not always.
Because the Kriya Pada here, Dehi. So it's like, you know, we are telling Parvati, you give me, right?
Correct. You give
That's
me.
because it's you give me. So when I say that kimartam, like Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham, then I got little confused there, Mahodaya.
Okay. Kimartham, kim kartum. So usually when you see artham type of endings, you can say kim kartum or kimartham.
Kimartham. Okay.
I believe we have done one or two abhyasas in the vakyasya Vayerchana. This is the main reason why we did the Vakya Vayerchana first. now we are
Yes.
putting so many concepts together, so it can be a little challenging. But go back to Vakya and Vayarchana if you need to know the different types of questions to ask.
धन्यवादः.
अन्ये प्रश्नाः सन्ति वा? Any questions about अन्वयरचना? सुन्दरी महोदय पृच्छतु.
This you have hastasya bhushanam, then satyam, again bhushanam comes 3 times bhushanam, then bhushanaihi. So you have to write 3 times in this padachedam.
Padachedam just says what are the different words in that
Different
shloka.
words. Okay, even if it is repetitive, no problem.
Likhatu. But when you are writing the vivaranam, you don't need to write it. You can choose to write it, it's up to you. But when you're writing the vivaranam, linga, vachana, vibhakti, or purusha, lakara, etc., you don't need to write it. But again, be careful, because at this level it is okay. As we go higher and higher, the same word can appear in different senses. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma. So in one case, in the first case, Brahma is the Chaturmukha Brahma, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Trimurti Brahma. In the second instance, Brahma, it is not Brahma. First time it is Brahma, Guru Brahma, Dirgham. There it is referring to Brahma, the Trimurti. In the second instance, it is referring to the Brahman, the all-pervading Brahman. So just looking at Brahma, oh, I already wrote the Vivaranam, I won't write it for this. We can't be like that. So I think it's a good practice to, even if you are repeating, write the Vivaranam. That way in your mind.
No. I have done like that only 3 times. I have done.
Likhatu. अस्तु, अन्ये प्रश्नाः सन्ति वा?
Mahodaya, in the third question that you have given some words and asked to write the lakaras, right? Like lakara, sorry, that linga, lakara and all that. Are we supposed to just find out for that word, for the dhatu and thing, or we have to write like all lakaras?
So I think we gave a list of lakaras to write, right? Lat, lot, rut, and lang. So you have to write all forms of those lakaras.
Oh.
So one of the topics in your Parichaya book, I think I don't remember the chapter number or the section number. In each chapter, they have given dhatus and they've given the different forms. There they have given only probably the lat lakara form or in ekavachana, I think. I'm not sure. But the important thing there is to remember the tumun form, the twa form, and not tavatu form and yap form and all that. And we will learn the aniyar and savyat forms later this year. So the idea is to get used to the different forms of the dhatu. So this was a practice towards that, and it is in your book also. So whenever we encounter a lakara or a dhatu, we will try to do as many of those types of exercises also as possible.
So for example, uchitavantaha. So I have to write for dhatu uchitavat, all lat, rut, lot, lang, everything. All 9 forms and
tatra dhatuh kim asti?
Uchita, I mean vas dhatu. I can take it as
vas dhatu. So you have to write the 9 forms for lat, 9 forms for lot, 9 forms for lut, 9 forms for lang.
Then, we are late.
It's okay. It's to practice.
Okay. That's the one.
And then write the lap and swa and tumun forms also for vas. I think you can unsubmit your homework and still write it if you want.
Yes, I can.
No,
I wrote only 1 line, Mahodaya. I didn't do that. Until Sumitra Mahodaya pointed out, I said, oh,
Okay, we'll make the instructions more clear next time.
Okay.
It's for your own practice. Haraprasad Mahodaya, पृच्छतु. भवान् म्यूट् मध्ये अस्ति. न श्रूयते. अस्तु, when you fix your computer, you can ask. अन्ये प्रश्नाः सन्ति वा अन्वयरचना विषये? अस्तु, so we finished 10 classes now. You can see where I'm heading. I mean, technically it's 11th class, but 10 actual instruction classes. So we'll have a revision test. It's going to be very simple. It will be take home. So it will be like any other homework only. The only thing is don't refer to any material. And it will be very simple. We won't ask anything complex. It will be based on the topics we have studied in these last 10 classes only. Nothing complicated. Astu Lakshmi Mahoday. Anantaram, any questions about that? So for those who have not studied with us in Satyam, those who are new to us, we usually have a revision test at the end of every 10 classes. It will be a take home, but closed book. You won't have to come to the class to take the test or anything. It will be just, it will look like a homework. You just sit down and write it. This time we are not giving any time limit because there will be one question on Anvaya Rachana. And since this is very new for all of you, and it may take about 1 hour to write just the Anvaya Rachana for one shloka, we are not giving any time limit. So you take your time. If you want to do it in bits and pieces, do it. That is fine. The only request is don't refer to any material. And then submit it just like you would submit any other homework.
So it's next week, Mahodaya, then?
Upcoming homework 11.
So, Mahodaya, for Artha, we cannot refer to the dictionary?
We will give you the meanings for all the non-common words. And if you still are unclear, if we have missed something, then ask a question on Signal and one of us will try to answer. Astu, agre saramaha va. Shall we start today's note? Usha Mahoday, let's revise what we have studied about Anvaya Rachana. Let's start with the Vakyam. So for a Vakyam, how do we do the Anvaya Rachana? What are the steps involved?
Basically, there are 7 steps. Sapta Sopanam, Sopani. Pradama Sopani is the Padacheda, where you spell out, you list out the words. This would be more relevant if there is a Sandhi, but for now we just list out all the words. The Vidiyam Sopanam is Samanya Artha, which is your understanding of what these words express. Then Tridiyam would be Vyakarnamsha. So it is basically you split to Akaranta, Pulinga. I mean, you do the Vivaranam for both the Kriya and the Namapadams. Then you do Prati Padartha, which is basically you spell out in English what the meanings are, having done the Vivaranam. Then you do the Vakya Vishleshanam, which is basically gathering, you analyze it into what's Kriya and what are all the various vibhaktis. After having done that, you do the Akanksha, where you use Sapta Kakara and ask questions of the Kriya Padam and whichever other word that's relevant. And lastly, you do the Anvaya Kramaha to get the Anvayartham.
Uttamam, Uttamam. So it's not just Saptakakaras, you can ask other questions also, like Kati and Kiyas and all that. Today we'll study about Kati. In the next class, we'll study about Kiyas. So it's not just Saptakakara. You can ask any question. One more thing I would like to add is not for the revision test, but for regular practice, try to write the meaning in Sanskritam also, wherever possible. Not just in English. It will come in handy for many, many reasons, as you can imagine. And when you are writing the meaning, whether you are writing in English or Sanskritam, try to write the meaning including the vibhakti. Otherwise, you will get lost when you are doing the prashna. So even if it is in English, I know there is no concept of vibhaktis in English, but say of a boy or in a boy. Balakena, don't just say boy, say in the boy or on the boy, something like that. Same way for if you are doing it in Sanskrit. Uttama. Sri Vidya Mahode. So it is much more simple for a Vakyam. So what are the steps for a Vakyam? When we are doing a environment.
So what? First, you find the Kriya Padam. And Anantaram Prashna like Prashna Dwara Avigyanam, like Kim Kimartam Katham Kutaha Kati Kada Kim.
Uttama. So what we call as step 6 in the Anvayarachana of the shlokas is the only thing we do for a Vakyam, because all the previous 5 steps or at least many of those steps is already done for us. Of course, it helps to write out the meanings of each of those words also when you're doing a Vakyasya Visleshanam. But at least for now, the Vakyani we chose are simple. So just by looking at them, you know the meaning. Another thing I want to point out is that the steps that we have given here, they may look different in your Parichaya book. They may look different in other books. There is no standard definition of what order you have to do these steps. We think that this will help you given all the background that we have. Later we may modify the steps. We may move one step later. We may move one step ahead. But for now, to get started, let's follow these steps. So when you look at a book and you see a different series of steps, don't get confused. They all have the same steps. The sequence may be slightly different. And as we discussed at the beginning of this class, most of the time, because there are crores and crores of shlokas, just given a random shloka, it's almost impossible to know the meaning. Or you may know just the very basic Samanya Arthaha. You can probably guess, but to actually get to the root of the shloka, you have to have some context, and that is usually given for us, or we can get it when we are reading an entire, for example, if you are reading Balakanda, we know what is the context of Balakanda, and when we, so at least that information you should have. This shloka is taken from Balakanda, this is the shloka number. Then you can go to Balakanda and look at the shlokas before that and after that to get some context, and then understand why Vishwamitra said this, who did he say it to, and what was the context in which he said that. So the purpose of understanding a shloka is not just to know its literal meaning, right? We want to know what it is trying to convey. So for now, we will give you the Samanya Artha wherever possible. But if the shloka itself is very simple, we'll give you the meanings of the words that we haven't encountered before. Astu, and then
Mhodaya, Prashna.
What?
There's we always make, I mean, the reference to Parajaya books is made, but I don't have those books. Those books, like if I were to relate to last year, you only get it when you register for the exam or something, right? So if I want to these books and before, without registering or before registering, is it possible?
Let's talk after the class.
Astu. Okay, sorry. मम सङ्गणकं दृश्यते वा? So these are the 7 steps that Usha Mahodaya talked about. So for a vakyam, we do only step number 6. We could do step number 4 also, Pratipadartha. It may be good to do it just to get into the practice of looking in the various kosha. Astu. Adya, let's practice Anvayarachana. Let's take up a shloka and let's do Anvayarachana. So this one is from your Parichaya book only. It's a Subhashitam actually. There they haven't done the Anvayarachana, but we will do the Anvayarachana. It's a good practice to do that. So we'll do one abhyasa of a Anvayarachana shloka, and then we'll look at Sankhya as Vishesha Visheshana Bhava. What does it mean? We'll look at it in a second. So we listed out the different steps for a Vakyam and for Shlokam. Let's Atra. Can you still see my screen where it says Subhashitam 1? Yes, no? Bhagya Mahodaya, एतत् कृपया पठतु.
आशाय ये दासस्ते दासः सर्वलोकस्य आशा येषां दासी तेषां दासयते लोकः.
कृपया पुनः पठतु. Read slowly.
आशाय ये दासः ते दासाः. Just
is there were some mistakes, so I want you to read it slowly.
आशाय ये दासास्ते दासा सर्वलोकस्य आशा येषां दासी तेषां दासयते लोकः.
दासायते लोकः.
दासायते लोकः.
So this is usually what we will encounter in real life. Now, how do we understand its meaning is what we will do through Anvayarachana. So, as you can see, several of the words are combined. For example, this one. So that is where the Padacheda comes in. And then there is something called Ashaya. We don't know what it is. Is it a Srilinga word or is it something else? We don't know. But to know that, we'll need to know the Sandhi. And we haven't studied Sandhi. So we have done that work for you. So we have split this using Sandhi so we eliminated Sandhi so that it looks like this. Now please read this part, the split form.
Ashayaha. Oh, aham Mahodaya. Ashayaha ye dasaha te dasaha sarvalokasya asha yesham dasi tesham dasaha ayate lokaha.
Uttamam. So as you study more and more, as you advance, you will do this yourself. So you will know, we will teach you how to, given a word like dasaste, why does it become dasahate? You will know. For now, take it for granted because we can't study all 10 topics together. So, like I said, we've done the work for you. So that is why the first step is usually padachedaha plus sandhi. So sandhi vichedaha. So now that we have these different the split forms, let us do the padacheda. Kanchan Mahoday, कृपया पदच्छेदं
पदच्छेदम् आशायाः ये दासाः ते दासाः सर्वलोकस्य आशा येषां दासी तेषां दासः आयते लोकः.
Uttama. So you may say you are just putting commas in between these words. So what is the reason for even doing this step? That is because we have done the work for you of splitting the word. That is why it looks like a redundant step. But let us learn the procedure first, and then when you advance to the level where you can do the sandhis yourself, it will be a you'll already know how to do it. Dasi tesham dasah ayate lokah. उत्तमम्. अनन्तरं कञ्चन महोदय किं करणीयम्?
अनन्तरं
आफ्टर् पदच्छेदः
क्षम्यतां महोदय.
अत्र पश्यतु. What is the third step? पदच्छेदः सामान्यार्थः.
सामान्यार्थः.
So let us do the सामान्यार्थः. I can give it to you, but let us try. Let us try it ourselves. So there are a couple of clues given here for you. Lokasya dasaha, or even before that, what do you think this Subhashitam is trying to say? If you don't know the answer, that is fine because we are seeing this for the first time. Just attempt it. Sir.
Yeah. I think that people who are full of desires, they live their life that way. But if they leave their desire and work for others' good things, then other people will follow them and they will become the humble servant kind of towards them.
Uttama, Uttama. Anybody like to add anything else to what Kanchan Mahodaya said? So that is the general understanding of this Subhashitam. So as you can see, it is an iterative process. So we first come to a general understanding of it, and then we work through step by step, and then our general understanding may also change as we know more and more about the different words and the relationship between the words and the vibhakti in which it is used. So this is a good first step. So lokasya dasaha ke. So these are a couple of clues that we have tried to give you to help you understand. So lokasya dasaha ke. Haraprasad Mahodaya, Bhavan vadati va. Is your microphone okay now? अस्तु विराज महोदय भवान् प्रयत्नं करोति वा?
Mahodaya, okay, so answer from the shloka on this one.
आम् from the Subhashitam only, nothing from general.
Okay, so K word is there, so it should be Sahataute. So Bahuvachana Shabdaha Pullinga Bahuvachana Shabda we need to choose. Then Dasaha is already used here. So then Ashayaha is there, but that is looks like Strilinga. Then it will be 6 Shashti or Panchami. No, Shashti or Saptami. So that cannot be.
Saptami asti chet Ashayam bhavati kila.
Oh, Bahuvachana. Okay, okay. So yeah, then Ashayaha, if it is Ashaya, is the Strilinga, but K is there, so that cannot be the one.
Astu. You don't have to do it this way. What Kanchan Mahodaya said is good enough. This was just as a clue for you to try to figure out how to get to the Samanyartha. But what Kanchan Mahodaya said is good enough. So what she said was one who is a slave to desire is a slave of the world, and one who conquers that desire, everybody follows them, or they become a humble servant, something like that. She said, I think that's good enough. Agre Saramaha. Next, what is the next step? What is the third step?
Prati padasya arthaha, we need to.
Arthasya purvam.
Each verse, Vyakarana.
So let us try to do that. So that is also, so can you identify the kriyas in this, Mahodaya? Is there one or more kriya padani? Okay, Kshemyam. Ayate, this is a new word that we have never encountered. Astu, that is a kriya padam. So the dhatu is I dhatu, and it has the upasarga a plus I. So we learned the upasarga in the a form. I was told that in the Parichaya book, this is given as the ang form. I don't know. I don't have the Parichaya book in front of me or handy. But I was told that whereas we studied the form as a, in the book it is given as ang, but they both mean the same thing. A plus I. So how do we know ayate iti asti? How do we know what is the dhatu? How do we know what form this is? Two answers. One, we have to, it comes from practice. The second is we can look at a kosha. So let's look at a kosha. If we put, so there is a, for those that are not familiar with this, there is a very nice website called Ashtadhyayi, and there you can look at the different dhatu forms and also the namapada forms also. So let us say ayate. We suspect it is a kriya padam, parantu atra ayate it is nasti. So what do? Then usually if we are not able to find out the form in the kosha, it possibly could mean that either there is a spelling mistake or more likely there is an upasarga. So in this case, I'm telling you there is an upasarga, but over the course of time, as you get more and more advanced, you will know how to recognize where there is an upasarga and remove it. So in the kosha, whatever forms they give is without the upasarga. We have to add the upasarga later.
I thought dasayate is the kriyapada here. I didn't realize dasa, dasa, you split it. I was somehow in my mind, dasayate is atmanepadi ekavachana.
That is why
right?
No, that is why we split it for you.
But how do you know then dasayate? Because if we have dasa plus ayate, that's what I thought, dasayate, if it is sandhi.
Yeah, we haven't studied visarga sandhis, so you don't know. That is why I split it for you. So for now, take what I'm giving you as helpful
Okay.
step. Then when we study visarga sandhis, you'll know why it is dasaha plus ayate and why ayate is a plus I. So one thing, I personally would have never chosen to give this Subhashitam in the Parichaya book because it has a lot of sandhis, especially visarga sandhis, that we haven't even studied. But whether we like it or not, it is in our Parichaya book and we have to study it. And so that's why we are doing this Abhyasa. I personally would have chosen a different Subhashita that is much more suitable to our level. But it is in our Parichaya book and we have to study it. So there are going to be some shortcuts we will take as we proceed and as you gain more knowledge, you will do it yourself. So don't get frustrated if some things are not clear. So A plus I. So I'm giving you that I is the dhatu. So for now, take it that it is correct. And we can also verify it from kosha. So if we take I as the dhatu, so the latlakara forms ayate, ayete, ayante, ayate, etc. So ayate, the a upasarga plus ayate will become ayate. And the meaning is udbhavati, or it gets produced or generated. This is a difficult word which we have not encountered before. For our revision test and for our homework, we will not give such subhashitas or shlokas for Anvairachana. We will keep it much simpler. Astu. So that is okay. So take it from me that this is the vivaranam for ayate. Anantaram. So we have listed out all the different words after doing padacheda. So ashayaha. So what is the vivaranam for ashayaha, Viraj Mahodaya?
Is akaranta strilinga?
Akaranta. Asha. Akaranta.
Akaranta strilinga. Then
Pratipadikam
will be ashaya.
Pratipadikam. What is Pratipadikam?
It will be before adding any vibhakti, right? So it's the
so we said it's akaranta shabda. So what is Pratipadikam for ashayaha? What is the Pratipadikam for Sitayaha?
Sita.
Sita. So for ashayaha, Asha.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I said ashaya. I added. Yeah. Okay.
Asha. Asha. Yeah. What is the vibhakti?
Vibhakti will be Shashti or Saptami.
Saptami by what is
Sorry. Panchami or Shashti, right? Yaha.
Satyam. Panchami or Shashti. We don't know. We don't know. So as I said, it is an iterative process. We go back and correct it as we reveal more and more information about the shloka. What is the vachanam?
Ekavachana.
Ekavachanam. So what is the meaning?
We understood as desire. So icha are similar words, right? Ichaya.
So what is the icha form of in Panchami and Shashti?
Ichayaha.
Ichayaha. Uttamam. Ichayaha. Uttamam. Anantaram ye.
Ye is yet shabda. So dakaranta pullinga bahuvachana. Then pratipadika will be yet shabda. Yed.
Yad. Okay. Vibhakti.
Ekavacha vibhakti pratama vibhakti bahuvachana.
Prathama vibhakti bahuvachana. So I'm putting some numbers here. This is the shorthand notation that we use. 5 of course is Panchami vibhakti, 6 is Shashti vibhakti. For vachana, 1 is ekavachana, 2 is dvivachana, 3 is bahuvachana. Astu. Paryaya padam or the meaning.
It will be of whom are many, right? So it is 1, 3. So
Of vibhakti, prathama vibhakti.
Pratama vibhakti. Then is whose not
or whose is appropriate. So etadapi karo. Okay, let's give chance to everybody. Chaitra Mahode, do the next two.
Dasaha akaranta pullinga shabdah dasa dasa pratama vibhakti
Pratipadikam kin
dasa dasa pratama vibhakti bahuvachane asti dasaha slaves.
Slaves. You can look it up in the kosha to find out the meaning in Sanskritam. Dasaha, slave. We said lingam is pumlingam, right?
Pulingam, pulling.
Pumlingam. And then we said, okay. Agre, te. Te kim bhavati?
Te tat shabda pullinga pratama vibhakti bahuvachanam.
So te can also be strilinga dvivachanam.
Strilinga dvivachanam mahodaya.
Or napumsakalinga dvivachanam in prathama and titiya. Right? So it is
yeah. No, I mean we are associating it with dasaha, right? So which is in pullinga and bahuvachanam. So I just guessed.
No, that is correct. That is correct. But you will encounter this question again and again. So is it this or that? So that is why I brought it up. Satya, your reasoning is correct. I wanted you to get to that reasoning. So we said prathama vibhakti. Vadatu Narayana Mahodaya.
Ramu.
Ramu Mahodaya.
Ramu.
Vadatu Ramu Mahodaya.
Are you not able to directly type here? We have to go back to that.
I don't have that facility, Mahodaya.
Okay. you are having iMac, you know, something.
Anantaram, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
I don't have that facility. Vadatu Mahoday.
And Paryaya Shabda, I mean, it's like those in English.
Those. Or they.
Those.
They.
They.
Again, in this case, dasaha is the same. It is used in the same context, so we can repeat it. Dasa shabda. Sarva lokasya. So here we can see sarva is one word, loka is one word, but don't worry about that. We will treat it as one word only and look at the vibhakti of the combined word.
Sarvaloka. Loka, prayashaha loka pullinga, I think.
Right. So let us look it up in the kosha. So there is one more kosha called kosha.sanskrit.today. So it's an excellent resource. So if you don't know what the linga of a word is, you can type it and it will show you a different usages of the same word. Loka asti, aloka asti, etc. etc. So many times we may think that we have split the sandhi as Bhagya Mahoday was asking, dasayate. How do we know it is dasayate? You don't know. It is a iterative process. It comes from practice. So if you put dasayate here, it will give you some options. Not always, but there are two. My only point is, don't get frustrated if you don't know immediately. Kosha will try to help you as much as it can. So let us look at what loka is here. It is in Pumlinga, lokaha. So how they give it is, they give the pratipadikam and then they list the linga m, f, n iti diyate. Anantaram, if it is m, they will give the prathama vibhakti ekavachana form. So kaha, which means lokaha. If it had a strilinga form, they will say f and in brackets they will say ka. Again, because loka prathama vibhakti ekavachana. And if it is if it was in Napumsakalinga, they will say n and in brackets they'll say kam. So that is how you know what is the prathama vibhakti ekavachana. So it is a Pumlinga Shabda.
Mahodaya, Pullinga Shabda, Loka.
Sarva Loka, Pratipadikam Kim?
Sarva Loka. Sarva Loka.
Not just Loka, but Sarva
Loka. Shashti Vibhakti Mahodaya, Sarva Lokasya.
Shashti
Shashti Vibhakti Ekavachanam.
Ekavachanam.
Of the world, I mean, or of the
entire world.
Entire world.
Sarva Lokasya, of the entire world.
Entire world.
Uttama. Dhanyavadaha.
Dhanyavadaha.
Whose turn is it next? Harsha Mahoday.
Asha. Asa is akaranta strilinga shabda.
Akaranta strilinga shabda.
Pratipadikam asha.
Uttama.
Prathama vibhakti.
Prathama, okay.
Ekavachanam.
Prathama vibhakti.
Ichha.
Ekavachanam.
Ekavachanam. Ichha. Ichha.
Uttama. Uttama. Ichha. Yesham kim bhavati?
Yesham is a dakaranta shabda. I don't know, striling. No, it's a pullinga. or Napunsakalinga?
We don't know. It should be Pumlinga or Napunsakalinga.
Yeah, we don't know.
So again, lot of these things are not known ahead of time. We will have to experiment and iterate through it till we get to the answer.
Yeah.
For now,
And
we will
Pratipadik is Yat Shabda, Sashti Vibhakti, Bahuvachanam. Bahuvachanam.
Artha kaha?
Maybe of whose.
Of whose? Of whose? Dasi.
Dasi, it's Ikaranta Strilinga, Dirga I. Nadi Shabdavat and Dasi Sabdaha.
Dasi Uttamam.
Prathama Vibhakti, Ekvachanam. Sevika.
Sevika. Oh, Uttamam. Uttamam. You are giving it in Sanskritam itself. Very nice. Uttamam. Dhanyavadaha. Let's give you a chance to somebody else. Kalpana Mahodaya. Tesham. Kalpana Mahodaya, bhavati asti va?
भानुमोदास तत् शब्दः पुल्लिंग तेषां शब्द तेषां दकारान्त पुल्लिंग अथवा नपुंसकलिंग
वदतु keep going.
ओके तत् शब्दः षष्ठी विभक्ति बहुवचनम् तेषां means those no on those
of षष्ठी of लोकः
लोकः अकारान्त पुल्लिङ्गः लोक प्रथमा विभक्ति एकवचनम्
उत्तमं प्रथमा विभक्ति एकवचनं संस्कृते प्रयत्नं करोति वा
संसारः प्रपञ्चः उत्तमं where possible we will try to write the meaning in Sanskrit. World api vaktum shakyate.
Janaha we can say, is it? Janaha? No.
Janaha means people. We can't say Janaha because that is people. We are talking here about the world.
Yeah.
There is one more word remaining, Mahoday.
Akaranta pullinga das shabdah ekavachanam prathama vibhakti sevika sevakah.
Give me the pratipadikam again.
Das. Akaranta.
You said akaranta, so it cannot be das. If it is das, it will be sakara.
Okay, sakara. Prathama vibhakti. Sevakah. Sevakah das. Sevakah.
Sevakah. So, uttamam. So, looks like the word dasa is in Strilinga and also Pumlinga. So, let us look it up. So let's go back to the kosha.sanskrit.today and type dasa. Dasaha pumlinga
servant, slave इति अस्ति. स्त्रीलिङ्गे अपि अस्ति वा? अत्र पश्यतु. दासः, like I said, M, and they will give the prathama ekavachana form, dasaha. So saha, you add it to das, dasaha. And स्त्रीलिङ्गे अपि अस्ति दासी. Prathama vibhakti ekavachana form will end in si. So dasi. Astu, I think we have finished all the vivaranam of all the words. Prashnaha santi va atra?
महोदय प्रश्नः अस्ति.
पृच्छतु महोदय.
The first sentence, आशाया ये दाससते. Okay. आशायाः ये दासाः ते दासाः सर्वलोकस्य. Is there a bhavati there, kriyapadam?
That is the next question, and you asked at the right time because it is your turn. Now identify the kriya pada.
For the second sentence.
I told you that there is one kriya padam called ayate, that is in the dvitiyam vakyam. Prathamaye vakye, in this vakyam is there a kriya padam.
Bhavati.
Bhavati. Atra pashyatu bhavati. Okay, we will take bhavati. Again, it's an iterative process. Whether it is bhavati or bhavanti, we will see. Or santi. Santi, asti, bhavati, they are the same. Let us take bhavati. We will see if it is bhavati or bhavanti. So bhavati asti chet vivaranam kim?
Bhavati is Bhavan Shabda.
No, Kriya Padam. We said Bhavati Kriya. Bhavat Shabda, that will be a Nama Padam. Shashti Vibhakti Ek.
So Bhavati is Parasmaipadi.
Parasmaipadi. And then Lakara.
Lat Lakara. Parasmaipadi, Lat Lakara. Bhav Shabda. Bhav Dhatu.
So again, if you don't know what is the dhatu, we have the bhavati form. So let's go back to Ashtadhyayi and type bhavati. It says it's bhudha.
Bhudhatu.
So it gives two listings. One, the meaning is to exist. The second one is to obtain. So what is more appropriate to our shloka?
To become, first one, to exist, to become.
To become. So atra pashyantu, there's a lot of information about this dhatu. It gives you whether it is parasmaipadi, atmanipadi, or ubhayapadi. It also gives you akarmaka, sakarmaka, or vikarmaka. We will study about that later. And it also gives you a gana. We'll study about those later. But what is important to notice, it gives the lat lakara form. Let's look at only the four we studied. Rut lakara form, bhavishyati, bhavishyataha, etc. Lot lakara form, bhavatu, bhavani, etc. And lang lakara, abhavat. And I'm giving you a clue for your homework, last homework. If you look at this tab that says Krudantaha, it will give you the Tumun form. Tumun form of Bhudhatu is Bhavitum. And then Swa, Bhutva, Lyap, Prabhuya, and Tavatu, Bhutavan, Bhutavati. So you can use the kosha to do your homework tonight. It is fine. You also need to know how to look at the different kosha. So it is not, it is bhudhatu. Parasmaipadi, latlakara, bhudhatu. What is the purusha and vachanam?
Pratama purusha. If it is bhavati, this is because it's talking of asha, aha. So it has to be bhavanti, so it has to be bahuvachana.
Uttama. Uttama. So it cannot be bhavati, it is bhavanti. But the dhatu won't change, obviously.
Dhatu will not change.
Purushaha.
So prathama purusha.
Prathama purusha. Vachanam.
Purusha bahuvachana.
Bahuvachana. Paryaya shabdaha.
Paryaya shabdaha, we can take it as santi.
Santi. Uttama. It is good. So now that we've identified the different vivaranam of each word, you discovered that this first vakyam, it has its own kriyapadam that is different from the second vakyam. Uttama. That is how we get to the meaning, step by step, and it will keep changing. So we started out thinking it is bhavati, but then as we tried to fit bhavati here, it didn't make sense, so we changed it to bhavanti. Again, same way, we will figure out whether it is napumsakalinga or pumlinga, and somewhere we said it is panchami or shashti. So we will go back and revise all of these information as we discover more information. Uttamam. So now that we have identified all the different words and their vivaranam, what is the next step? Pratipadarthaha, that we have done. Vakya vishleshana. We have done this also. Next, step number 6. Akanksha kramena anvaya. So we'll have to keep asking questions. So as we said, there are two kriyapadas. In the first one, the kriyapada is bhavanti or santi. In the second vakyam or line, the kriyapadam is ayate. Meera Mahode, Akanksha kramena prashnani pruchhatu atra prathama vakyasya.
So it is kaha bhavanti, dasaha bhavanti.
So here one thing, if you remember from our abhyasa of vakya vishleshanam, we said whenever there is a yad and tad, it again is two sentences, right? We took it as two sentences. Do you remember that? So there is yad and there is tad. So how many kriyapadas are here?
ये दासाः आशायाः सन्ति, ते दासाः सर्वलोकस्य सन्ति.
ते सर्वलोकस्य दासाः सन्ति. So bhavanti. Since we took it as bhavanti, let's keep it as bhavanti. So kriyapadam is bhavanti.
Bhavanti.
Or santi. Either one is fine. Don't. So okay, let's do it this way. So kriyapadam is bhavanti. Prashnani pruchhatu.
You can first, I think we can use ye as it is, no, Mahodaya?
Ashayaha ye dasaha bhavanti. Okay, let's do it this way. So to help us, let us put the adhyahritam as part of the shloka so that it becomes clearer. Ashayaha ye dasaha bhavanti, te dasaha sarvalokasya bhavanti. Now,
so kaha bhavanti will be ye dasaha, no? Here, because
no,
ye.
You are giving two words as the answer. Usually your answer has to be one word.
So it will be kaha bhavanti, dasaha bhavanti.
Kaha bhavanti, dasaha bhavanti.
See, then Kidrish, no, Kidrish, yeah, ye dasa is this thing, Visheshana padam of dasa.
Atra,
so Kidrishah dasaha, ye dasaha. Will that be fine?
Let's look at it. Ye dasaha bhavanti, they become the slaves. They become slaves. They slaves.
So who's the dasaha, no?
Kaha kauke. So it is. We said it is pumlinga shabda. So kaha kauke, not kaha, right? Ke bhavanti.
Ke bhavanti.
So let's look at it now. Is it
Kidrisheya?
I
I thought it was Ramaha, no? So Kridrishaha.
So let us try it this way. Ke bhavanti, ye bhavanti, ki drushe bhavanti, dasaha bhavanti.
Kidrishe, why? Because Pullinga Bahuvachana of Kidrishaha Shabda will follow like Ramaha Shabda, no?
Kidrishaha. You're right.
So Kidrishaha bhavanti, dasaha bhavanti. Then Ashayaha ye dasaha. So it will be like Ashayaha will be Kasyaha.
Kasyaha.
Kasyaha bhavanti.
Kasyaha. Ashayaha.
Ashayaha.
So now what did we discover? So Ashayaha is not Panchami but Shashti Vibhakti.
Yes.
They become slaves of desire. From desire, it is possible to say that, but it sounds of is more appropriate. So
yes.
Now we can go back here with this additional information and say it is not Panchami but Shakti. So even when you are doing it yourself, this is how it will happen. You will not know all the answers immediately. Anantaram. Okay. Can you please repeat? Wait. We are both talking at the same time. You please go ahead.
So next we come again to.
No, wait, Meera Mahodaya. There were two questions, one from Gayatri Mahodaya and one from Sumitra Mahodaya. Gayatri Mahodaya, you please go first.
Can I tell Mahodaya? Ask Mahodaya?
Yes, please do that.
No, that question Ke Bhavanti, Das Bhavanti, Kidrishe Dasa Bhavanti, Ye will be the Visheshanam.
That is better. Uttama. I agree with you.
Dhanyavadah, Mahodaya.
One more question.
One second. Let's go in an order. Sumitra Mahodaya, Pruchhatu.
It was the same question.
Okay. Narayanan Mahodaya, Pruchhatu.
Why is it Kasyaha? Dasaha is Pullinga Shabda.
Is there a Visheshana Bhava here?
It's not Visheshana.
They become slaves of the world. So atra Visheshana Bhava asti va?
Asha is not.
No, that is why it is Kasyaha.
Kasyaha because it is Ashayaha is Strilinga.
Asha is Strilinga, that is why it is Kasyaha. There is no Visheshana Bhava between Ashayaha and Dasa. अस्तु मीरा महोदय द्वितीयस्य करोतु कृपया।
पुनः पुनः के भवन्ति
पुनः के
पुनः के भवन्ति दासाः भवन्ति देन् के दासाः ते दासाः देन् कस्य दासाः भवन्ति सर्वलोकस्य दासाः भवन्ति।
हियर् इट् इस् कस्य कस्य दासाः भवन्ति सर्वलोकस्य। So far, is this clear to everybody? Any questions? So let's take the second vakyam. What is the second vakyam? Asha yesham dasi. Kasya kramaha Srividya Mahoday. Atra he said Kriya Padam is ayate. Let's do this.
Ayate. So according to Parichaya book, it is A plus I.
We've done all of that. We've done all of that.
So ayate is Atmanepadi. Drit lakara.
We've done all that. We've done all that, Mahoday. Asta Pakshatu.
Okay. Lat lakara.
Lakara, I dhatu, prathama purusha, ekavachana, and the meaning is also there. So start asking the question.
Okay. Kaha ayate. Because it is ayate is
become
becomes. Okay.
Take it as become becomes
becomes.
Bhanumoday ekam prashnam asti. Yeah. Here also we can take two sentences, na?
Yes.
Asha echam dasi asti.
Uttamam, uttamam. Atra ekavachane asti va, bahuvachane asti va, we'll figure it out. Asti va, since we started with bhu dhatu, let's stick with bhu. It's the same.
So yesham will become bahuvachanam.
So bhavanti. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes, Mahodaya.
So this is adhyahrutam. Astu, Srividya Mahoday. Sorry.
So now taking Asha Yesham Dasi, I'll take that first. And Bhavanti. So Kaha Bhavanti. Yesham Bhavanti. Kidrishaha Yesham Bhavanti.
No.
Yesham Das.
No. So we just like we did for the other sentence.
Okay.
It is dasa.
Dasa.
Dasi, atra dasi.
Dasi means it's ekavachanam.
Ekavachana. So it cannot be
ekavachanam ikaranta ekavachanam.
Bhavati.
Bhavati.
So ka bhavati.
Ka bhavati.
Dasi
bhavati. Yesham bhavati.
No. Dasi bhavati.
Dasi. Okay. Yesham is the Visheshanam here.
No, it is not a Visheshanam. Yesham Asha Yesham Dasi Bhavati. So Asha, whose slave it becomes.
Okay.
That is what it is saying.
Ka bhavati dasi bhavati. Kidrishaha bhavati. Kidrisha bhavati. Yesham Asha bhavati.
Wait.
What is the karta here?
Yesham.
Karta. Bhavati.
Bhavati, dasi bhavati. Dasi. I think
Asha bhavati. Asha is more appropriate.
Oh.
Asha becomes dasi. Asha,
Okay.
of whom it becomes a dasi. I think that is how to read.
Okay.
Ah.
Asha. Then ka bhavati. Asha bhavati.
Kidrushi bhavati.
Kidrushi Asha bhavati. Asha bhavati.
Or another way of asking the same question is Asha kidrushi bhavati. What type of what type does it become? It becomes a dasi.
Dasi. Kidrushi bhavati. Dasi bhavati.
Next, that is
Kesham.
Uttama.
Kesham Asha dasi bhavati.
Satyam. Kesham dasi bhavati. Yesham. Astu. Dhanyavadah. Usha Mahoday. Let's take the remaining part. Tesham dasaha ayate lokaha. Tasya अन्वयं करोतु. क्रियापदमस्ति आयते. उषा महोदय अस्ति वा?
Sorry, mute. Is it kaha ayate, dasaha ayate?
So try to understand the general meaning of it. So tesham, keep it aside. Dasaha ayate lokaha. What is it trying to say? Dasaha, slave, ayate becomes lokaha, world. World becomes slave. Right?
Sorry, dasaha ayate lokaha, world becomes slave. World. So then it's world becomes slave. So world is karta.
Uttama. So what is the question you asked here?
Kaha ayate, lokaha ayate. Is it kidrisha?
Kidrishaha ayate.
Kidrishaha lokaha dasaha, is it?
No, only one word at a time. Kidrishaha ayate. Dasaha ayate. So covered ayate lokaha dasaha. What is remaining? Tesham.
Kesham ayate tesham.
Kesham ayate tesham. Kesham dasaha ayate tesham. So if you want to, I would suggest writing the sentences in full, even though I'm not doing it. But now if you write it this way, it becomes more clear. Lokaha kesham dasaha ayate tesham. Of them. So I think we've covered both. Prashnaha santi va atra? In retrospect, we probably should not have chosen the complicated shloka, but it's okay because we all find difficulty doing yad and sad. So I think it's good that we chose it.
so far, any questions? I know it is a little complicated. I know it is taking time, but that's okay. In the beginning, doing the Anvaya by ourselves will take 2-3 hours for each shloka. It is very normal. Then Haraprasad Mahodaya, is your microphone fixed? No fixed. Sundari Mahodaya, Bhavatyaha Kramaha Asti. What is the next step, Mahodaya? We've done Akanksha, Anvaya and Anvayartha. Anvaya means putting it in order that makes more sense to us. So let's take both the sentences. Sundari Mahodaya asti va?
Sorry, unmute. Ashayaha ye dasaha bracket bhavanti te dasaha sarvalokasya bhavanti asha yesham dasi bhavati tesham dasaha ayate lokah bhavati.
Now let's rearrange this. So Anvaya means rearranging it in a way that makes it more easily understandable. So how would you rearrange this part or this sentence, the first one? Prayatnam karotu. So what will we do? Kriya Padam is at the end. And when we usually when we encounter yad tad, how do we construct a sentence? Yaha
ye dasaha ashayaha bhavanti.
Is that more clear? Or ye ashayaha dasaha bhavanti? Is that more clear?
Ye ashayaha dasaha. Yes. Ye ashayaha dasaha bhavanti.
Those of desire, they become slaves. Then
te dasaha sarvalokasya bhavanti.
Is that more clear to you, or is this more clear to you?
I agree. Te sarva lokasya dasaha bhavanti.
So Anvaya Krama is putting it in an order that makes more sense to you. For me, this makes sense. If the other way made more sense for you, you can keep it that.
No, I think it is sarva lokasya dasaha bhavanti.
That
makes more sense.
Okay. Now let's try the same exercise for this one.
Yesham asha dasi bhavati tesham lokah dasaha ayate.
Okay.
Tesham lokah dasaha ayate.
For me, I think this order makes more sense because we said Asha is Karta. Asha Bhavati. Asha Dasi Bhavati. Asha Yesham Dasi Bhavati. Asha of whom, for whom it becomes a slave. For them, the world slave becomes, or the world becomes the slave. But like I said, you can arrange it in whatever order you want.
Okay.
Now, is this sentence looking more readable, more understandable?
Ye ashayaha dasaha bhavanti ते सर्वलोकस्य दासाः भवन्ति आशा येषां दासी भवति तेषां लोकः दासः आयते.
Spashtam va? Is this more clear now?
Yes.
Mhodaya, एक प्रश्न अस्ति. येषाम् and तेषाम्, is it reference to a and te because those are bahuvachana rupam, no?
The second sentence is everything is ekavachanam.
This is bahuvachanam.
No, Asha, Dasi, Lokaha, Dasaha.
The first sentence says a and te.
Right.
So I have a feeling Esham Tesham should be referring to those A and Te, those people.
Correct. It is and it is not, in the sense that, so how would you say this in English? In simple way.
For those desirous.
Those who have desires.
No. Wait. Now you can't say those who have desire. We've gone through an entire exercise. Those who are slaves of desire.
Yeah.
Right?
Those slaves of desires.
Ashayaha dasaha. Those who are slaves of desire, they are the slaves of the world.
Yeah.
But so it is not related in the sense that this is talking about one group of people and this is talking about another group of people. What is this vakyam trying to say, Sundari Mahoday? Sundari Mahoday, bhavati asti va?
Asti. I forgot to unmute. Those who keep the desires as their slaves, the world becomes their slave.
The world becomes their slave. So to go back to your question, Meera Mahoday, or let's look at the full meaning first. Who become slaves to desire? They become slave to the world. But parantu iti api asti. It is implied parantu. But for whom desire itself becomes a slave, for them the world becomes their slave. So in a sense, even though yad and tad are used in bahuvachana here and here, they are referring to two different sets of people. Two different sets of people. In the first one, it is talking about people who are slaves desire, and in the second one, it's talking about those who make desire itself there.
Since it's referring to a group of people.
Spashtam.
Dhanyavad.
So, Shri Vidya Mahoday, you had a question?
The second sentence should it be Yesham Dasi, Yesham Asa Dasi Bhavati? Can we write like that?
Yeah, like I said, whatever makes sense to you. At the end of the day, this is for your understanding. There is no right or wrong answer here. So
just because you wrote the Tesham there, so I thought.
You can write it whatever way makes sense to you. Yeah, you can write it this way also. Nothing wrong with that. So if we go back here and so this becomes the Anvayarthaha and Anvayaha. So normally we would have written it in Sanskritam if we had all the Paryaya Padas in Sanskritam. But since we've done a mix of English and Sanskritam, let's write the Anvayartha in English. Who wants to say? Prashant Mahodaya, you want to try? Astu. Kanchan Mahodaya.
महोदय अहं प्रयत्नं करोमि. Those who are slaves of desires. They are slaves of the world.
They are slaves of the entire world.
Of the entire world. Sarvalokasya. But those who have no desires.
Does it say no desire?
But those whose desires
is their slave. Those who make their desire itself their slave.
Okay. Those who make desires their slave.
Atra yesham asti shashti. That is why let's write it. But for whom?
But for whom?
Desire itself is
desires is a slave.
That ekavachanam asti, so a slave.
A slave for them.
They tesham, for them.
For them. The world is will be becomes slaves. Becomes their slaves.
भानु महोदय एक संशय अस्ति. So here, but for whom? So instead of that, could we write of whom? Shashti vibhakti asti kalu. Of whom desire is a slave. So of them the world becomes a slave.
So it is Satya. You can write it like that. It's not easy to translate between the two languages. The constructions are different, but yeah, that is fine. We can write it that way. Okay, it took us 90 minutes to go through this exercise, but I hope this helped. Was this helpful?
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll do a lot more abhyasa with yad and sad and anvaya rachana of many shlokas. So you can expect at least 20-30 more anvaya in your homework over the course of this, for the duration of this entire course. Prashnaha santi va?
Mahodaya. So tatparyartham means you'll have to what it really tells you, real meaning. You have to write.
Anvaya. Tatparyam is the general summary that we guess at the beginning.
You don't have to write what the sloka or the sentence reveals to you.
So in the first step, when we write samanyarthaha or tatparyam, there we write what we think or our guess of the shloka is, and at the end, when we write the anvayartha, if we did everything in Sanskritam, then we would rewrite the meaning in Sanskritam. But for now, we will do it in English. But
just the meaning is enough, isn't it?
But this time it has to be very specific. It cannot be a general meaning again, because we have gone through the exercise of going through all the vibhaktis and meanings of each word and relationships between the different words. Now you have to be very precise in your answer.
But for this Subhashitam, I read more of minimalism and less of consumerism is needed. All these things have been given, so I thought we should write
that you can write it in general meaning. In the Samanya Artha, you can write it like that. But consumerism, all that is not there in the shloka, right? So for a general meaning, you can write like that. But for Anvaya Artha, you have to write what the shloka is trying to tell you, or your understanding of what the shloka is. Anye prashnaha santi va? I know this is a little challenging. I know that it takes time, but please stick to this. It will become easier as we go along. In your Parichaya book, it is not given to this level of detail. We study this level of detail only in the next level, but we are introducing all this level of detail at this level for a very big reason. And the reason is, in the next level, you'll be studying the Anvayarachana of Bhagavad Gita. As you can imagine, understanding the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita requires a lot of other knowledge. So Bhagavad Gita is very complex to understand. We need somebody like Jaykumar Mahavaja to help us. So if you learn all these steps at that level, it will become very, very challenging. So at this level, let us understand the sequence of steps, how to get to the meaning of the shloka with simple shlokas, so that when you get to the next level, things become very easy. Then all you will be left to do is understand the shloka itself, the what Bhagavad Gita is trying to say. You don't have to worry about all of these other aspects. So we are planning ahead and doing all of this. Prashnaha santi va? Sandehaha santi va? No chet samapayamaha va? Shall we stop? Bhagya Mahoday, Mangala Shlokam Sarvatra.
Sarve bhavantu sukinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhavet. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Dhanyawada Mahoday.
Dhanyawadaha.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಮಹೋದಯ.